A lot of you likely have your oral SACs coming up. Now last year I didn't have this. We had it replaced with another 10 mark current issue written SAC. But as someone who's participated in a lot of public speaking and won a lot of those, I still feel like there are pieces of advice I can offer to you guys so you guys can do well in this SAC. Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Darren, a first year medical student studying at Monash University here in Melbourne, Australia. Today we'll be talking about the oral SAC. And this SAC is a pretty small one. It's worth 10 marks and usually teachers try and reward you and they want to see that you've put effort into your research, and they don't really use this as a way of splitting people apart because it's not really something you're testing on at the end of the year, and there's also not a lot of marks in there as well. However, I still think it's very worthwhile to do well because you can prepare the majority of it at home and you really don't want to be losing unnecessary marks here. And so today's video will be split into 3 parts. In the first part, I'll be talking about picking a topic. In the second part, I'll be talking about writing and your construction of the speech. And in the third part, I'll be talking about your presentation and your manner when you're presenting. So firstly, we have picking a topic. Now, with me, whenever I did public speaking and when I wrote creative pieces when I was younger, I would spend a ton of time thinking about what I would write. And that would even be to the point where, I remember when I was in year 8 and we had something due for the whole week, I'd probably think about how to write, or what topic I'd be writing about for 5 days, and then just in the last 2 days, I'd write it all out. And that's because I knew I was a good writer. And so what I really needed to spend time on was finding a topic that I liked, I was passionate about, and then everything else would flow out quite naturally. Even if you're not the best writer, I still recommend you spend a lot of time thinking about what topic you'd write. And so the 2 main considerations when choosing a topic are 1, how popular the topic is, and 2, how much can you write about it, or how much can you find about it on the internet. And so with these 2 considerations, they're linked with each other. A topic that's really popular, like something about lockdowns and COVID, will have a lot of information about it, which is good, but it's in the news everywhere. Everyone's heard basically everything about it, and a lot of kids will probably be using it, and so that will be not that interesting for the people listening. It will feel like they're just hearing the same thing over and over, and it's an issue that's been hammered into the public for the last 2 years. And on the flip side, a topic that isn't that popular, or is very, very rare, will be interesting to hear for maybe the first 30 seconds, but then afterwards you'll probably not have enough substance to hold up and engage in a good discussion, which will also cause the people listening to lose interest. And so what I recommend you do is you really find a good balance between the 2. Do some research. There are definitely many areas out there which we don't see in the news every day, but still have a lot of juice and substance to them. And I recommend you go into those areas, spend time researching, don't underestimate the value of a good topic. And once you find that topic and once you've grasped onto it, it's a very big benefit to you because you'll have a really good starting point and a great potential to do well in this SAC because of the scope that your topic gives you. So secondly, constructing the speech. With the intros and the conclusion, I always liked writing those first when I was doing public speaking or even creative writing because they're the most fun parts. They're the parts that grasp your reader's attention, your listener's attention, and the parts that you leave your audience with. And so there's so many different ways you can do it. You can have a cyclic ending, you can have a story, you can have a statistic, whatever you like. And I just liked how diverse it was. And so, yeah, I just recommend not something bland like, hello, I'll be talking about whatever today, but something that really grabs the people's attention and makes your speech far more interesting from the beginning and also leaves your readers with something to think about or some kind of emotion at the end of your speech as well. In the body of the speech, it's really up to you, but in general, I think have a really strong logical progression. So maybe have 2 arguments against, 2 arguments for, 1 argument against, and then sort of another argument for at the end. That kind of makes logical sense. Just arguments that build upon one another. You have a lot of time to think about it, so make sure they flow well and make sure your rebuttal comes in the right places and just structuring your arguments well. And another important thing to be aware of is to not just shove in a ton of stats. So the point of this oral isn't that you just get a bunch of research and just put it in and a bunch of statistics and convince the readers, convince the listeners of what you're saying. The point is to be presenting your argument well and with a lot of rhetorical techniques. And so in that middle part, I don't want to see a lot of stats. I recommend you guys have arguments, which are the focal point, and maybe have stats in them that support your arguments, but they should be, supporting parts and not what your entire speech relies upon. And also throughout the entire text, because you'll have to write a statement of intention about it, just put in some rhetorical techniques. They're really simple, really easy to use. All the stuff you've analyzed in analyzing and presenting arguments, things like rhetorical questions, inclusive language, figurative language, all the things the teachers force you to analyze, now you can sort of push it back in their faces and put it into your oral piece. So then when you write your statement of intention, you have a lot to write about. And thirdly, we have presentation. So presentation, there's a lot of key things in here that you should be aware of. Big things such as maintaining eye contact. Even if you have cue cards, try and have the gist of it in your head already. And remember, you don't have to get every single word right. Don't be obsessed with getting every single word right. You can paraphrase, you can sort of change the wording up a little. Just be very relaxed and fluid when you're on stage, and that means you can engage more with the audience and have more eye contact, which just shows better preparation and makes the audience more inclined to like you. If you're having something like PowerPoint, just have like dot points on there or pictures or whatever that expands upon your points. I really don't like it in lectures or anything where people have their entire speech on the PowerPoint. Like, I could just read the PowerPoint. Like, what's the point of me listening to you speak? And so if you have an aid like that, make sure that it supports your speech but isn't like your entire speech. Other things such as body language, when you move, when you do things with your hands, do it deliberately. Don't sort of flop around or just be very non-committal with it. And if you have particular things you want to emphasize, maybe think of some hand gestures you want to make with that. So maybe if you're talking about money, something like that, or if you're talking about sport, like a hand gesture like that. Just make sure it fits and meshes in well with your speech. I think it definitely adds a layer of confidence and really makes your entire presentation more impressive if you can have good body language. Another thing you want to watch out with is your tone. With your tone, you want to be quite conversational, like you're talking with a friend and just thinking out loud and putting forward ideas to each other about this topic. What you don't want to do is make it seem like a lecture, and it's often quite easy to do because you've seen, those politicians or those really grand people give really, almost like really, really loud speeches, and I think it's just condescending and a bit unnecessary. What you want to aim for is just a very cheerful and conversational tone, engaging with the audience. You don't want to make it seem like you're lecturing them, but rather you're just sharing ideas with them, exploring, and also encouraging them to think about the issue as well. Thank you guys for tuning in to today's video. I hope you've enjoyed it. The oral is quite a fun SAC. I didn't have it in year 12, but I think I would have liked it. You get to prepare the bulk of it at home and then just present this issue that you've selected to your peers and to your teachers. One key thing to keep in mind is with any kind of public speaking, I would always think that, would I enjoy this speech if I was in the audience? So really think about that as you prepare your speeches. If you're in the audience, would you like the speech? Would you like the manner you're presenting in? Would you like the content that you have? And if you've hit that, then it's very unlikely that you've gone wrong. I hope you guys have been enjoying the first week of holidays, and I look forward to seeing you all next time.